Hello everyone, we are in our balcony cabin today on Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas, the newest, biggest ship in the world, and it is close to the end of our sailing here this week, and we thought this is a perfect time to tell you all of our likes and dislikes.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us. Jamie here with Sharon from Sharon and Travel, and that's right, Sharon said it. We're going to give you our top 5 likes and dislikes. Sharon, let's start with entertainment.
All right. Entertainment. That's, everyone wants to know about entertainment.
Yes.
We heard some amazing things so far about entertainment, and they were all right for the most part. We have seen the 3 main anticipated shows already on the cruise ship, and there's several others as well. But The Wizard of Oz in the Royal Theater was amazing.
Awesome.
Talented. Dorothy had a voice on her like, I don't know, she had an awesome voice.
But hold on, wasn't the star of the show Toto?
Toto was
I'm not going to give it away so you guys can see it. You got to see it to believe it. But Toto was not a real dog. I mean, they're not going to have a real dog in the show. But Toto, in my opinion, may have been the star of the show.
Yeah. And I love the way he got around on stage.
That's right. Don't give it away, Sharon. Don't give it away. All right. What else? What about that elemental? I was a little iffy about that whole thing. What was that called?
The Starburst
elemental thing.
Beauty. That was the ice skating show.
It was.
I was not iffy at all. I knew it was going to be amazing, and it was more than what I expected. The talent, the ice skaters. I don't even know what to say. It was the best ice skating show I've ever seen.
Well, listen, I'm not using back home. I'm not standing in line to get tickets for ice capades or anything. So I was like, okay, what they're doing it about the elements and it's ice skating. And then we got in there, and I think one of the first things Sharon pointed out was the ice skating rink is relatively small. Yeah. So we're like, well, what kind of big show are they going to have? I could not have been more wrong about it. The skating was incredible. As a matter of fact, I heard that they hire a lot of ex-Olympic type skaters to do that kind of stuff, and I was blown away, and that's from a non-ice skating guy.
Yeah, and some of the tricks and maneuvers they were doing, I mean, I was a little afraid for them. I just picture someone falling and cracking their head open.
Yes.
But it was amazing.
There was like 1 or 2 slip-ups, but the way that they recover, it's almost like you don't even know that they slipped up. It was so good. What about all the way up in the front?
Aquadome.
In the Aquadome.
So they had the Aqua Action Show, and that is another like kind of acrobatic type aqua show.
Yes. I mean, if you've seen them on the big Oasis class ships, you know a little bit what to expect, although it's a new version of a new show.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. So the one thing I'm a little unsure of are the seats there. It's bench style seating, and they're hard seats, and all the way in the back row there were backs on them, but everything else is a bench without a back on it. So you're really just sitting up and a little uncomfortable. And yes, that place fills up, and you are definitely cheek to cheek with whoever you're sitting next to. So if you don't know them, you're going to get to know them really quickly.
I will highly suggest that you see as much entertainment as you can fit into your schedule, or that you can get in for reservations for on this ship. It has all been wonderful.
Okay, the next topic, and something everyone wants to know about here on Icon of the Seas, is the food. Now, there are a lot of specialty dining options here, and those are all going to be great, unless you have some wacky one-off situation. And there are a lot of new, smaller venues to eat at as well. You've got the Aquadome Market, and that place is fantastic. You've got the popular ones like a Loco Fresh, which is always good. And there's a lot of other little places you can get stuff, including the Pearl Cafe. That place is pretty awesome as well.
Great.
But the 2 main things we'll focus on was, number 1, the main dining room, and number 2, the Windjammer, the buffet, because that's what most cruisers are familiar with as far as the comparison goes. So first off, the main dining room. How has that been for us?
I think the food has been great. The presentation has been great. The only thing and the menu actually, there's a good menu. I will say that. Although there were a couple nights where if you're kind of a picky eater, you may be like struggling a little to find something that you want on the menu. Now there is a kids menu for you adults that like to eat like a kid.
I think our son, who's 19, ordered something off the kids menu, so you can do that if you want.
But they do have did have a steak option most every night except for one, and a few other little things. They always had some kind of chicken. Yeah, I was totally satisfied with the main dining room. In fact, more than satisfied. We had great meals in there every night, and there's nothing to complain about. In fact, I'll give it a solid 8.
8 out of 10?
I'll give it a solid 8 this
Wow.
time.
All right. Listen, I might even go to a 9. But that's just me. I just thought it was great. We are big fans of the main dining room. We don't need that specialty dining to enjoy our cruise, so we have loved it. And of course, we've gone there mostly for dinner, but it is open for breakfast as well, so that's an option that you can take advantage of too. And the breakfast is great there. Tasty, hot, fresh, ready to go. But alternatively, you can also check out the Windjammer. Anyone who's cruised Royal knows the Windjammer is their bread and butter, so to speak, as far as their buffet setup. And it's well known, and it's always pretty darn good. But I'll tell you what, we have been really, really pleased with it. We've hit it a couple times this week, including, and I recommend this, Embarkation Day. We were blown away at the quality of food and the selection on Embarkation Day. Lobster tail, shrimp, scallops, mussels. I mean, seafood galore, meats galore. It was awesome.
Yeah, and then the second day, they still had a little bit of seafood. I don't know if it was kind of the leftover from the first day, but they still had a good amount of seafood in there for lunch. And then the third day on, just like maybe 1 or 2 little things, nothing fancy, no lobster or anything like that.
Yes.
But it's been great. There's different stations and different types of food all around, and I was totally satisfied. I thought it was probably. We've been on Royal Caribbean ships before, and I wasn't a huge fan of the buffet. But I will say the buffet on the Icon of the Seas is probably I'm going to put it at number 2 or 3 on my list of all the cruises we've been on as my top.
That's a lot of cruises.
Either 2 or 3 in the buffet. Yeah.
That's right. All right. So main dining room, buffet, the food in general, fabulous. You will not be disappointed. All right, now so far the first 2 things have been very general, right? Entertainment and food, and that's been fabulous. But let's get into a little more of the detailed stuff. Sometimes when you've cruised a lot of things can seem the same, but then something pops up that's a little different experience that you haven't had previously on any cruise, and that's what the next item is for Sharon.
So the first morning we ordered the complimentary room service coffee. You know, we wanted our morning coffee, and I think we put it down for maybe 6:30 to 7 option or something like that.
We did the little list. You put it outside your door as long as it's out by like 2 a.m. or something. It'll just come automatically at the time that you ask for it.
And then all of a sudden, maybe about 20 after 6 or so, the phone rang and it woke us up kind of, and I'm like, what? Who's
I was like, what's wrong? Is there an emergency? What's happening right now?
So I asked the phone. They're like, oh, your room service is on its way. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, thank you. And then I popped up because I thought they were like right outside the door, you know, already. But I waited probably about another 5 minutes or so, and they eventually came. So I think they call right as they're leaving, maybe the kitchen with the room service, and it gives you a little time to kind of know that they're on their way, so that it gives you a little bit of a wake up call too. I know in the past there's been times where we've ordered room service, and you know, we're wondering, did they knock 2 or 3 times before we answered, because sometimes you oversleep and you don't hear it.
Yeah.
So this is actually awesome for the guest, I think, and also for the staff as well, because they're not standing out there with the trays knocking on someone's door waiting for them to answer.
I don't know if you guys have heard. Let us know in the comments below. Have you experienced that on any other cruise where they called you ahead of time? Maybe they have, but we just haven't experienced it.
We haven't
on the mainstream lines that we've been on. But I think it's genius because, I mean, just picture the amount of traumatized people there are who knock on the door, and somebody that looks like me jumps up, opens the door for the room service in their underpants in the morning, and that's how you greet the poor person carrying the food. That can't be a good experience for them, and it's certainly embarrassing for someone like me to go through that. So yes, they call before, you know they're coming, you have a chance to maybe brush your teeth, put some clothes on, and that way they're not knocking 3 or 4 times, and they know that you know that the food is on the way. So that was a great point, Sharon. That's definitely something that we both liked, Sharon especially.
The next thing that we really enjoyed, we thought this was really cool, and we've run into this situation a lot, so that's why it really stood out to us, is when you're going in from one meal to the next into like the buffet area. So we went into the Windjammer kind of between breakfast and lunch, and a lot of times they close down for like an hour or so, the buffet's in between, and then you're like kind of left with nothing to eat for a little while in the buffet. So here we noticed that they shut the one side down early from breakfast, and they still had one side going for breakfast. Then they started opening the other side for lunch, and as soon as they opened the lunch side, then the other breakfast side shut down, and then they started working on getting lunch out to the other side. So the changeover between breakfast and lunch was awesome. it left everyone with like something to eat constantly as they were coming in, because there's always people coming up to the Windjammer here. It's very, very happening place, probably because it's so good.
Yes.
But we found that very accommodating to the guests as well.
Yeah, if you're the kind of person that sleeps in a lot on a sea day, or even on a day you're just staying on the ship in port, and you like to get up at about 10:30 and go have something to eat, you won't be stuck in that no man's land of breakfast is done, lunch hasn't started yet. So the changeover process, you're right, Sharon, that was smooth, efficient, and it allowed Sharon to get a little bit of breakfast, and I had a nibble until I was ready to dive into lunch. So it was a win-win situation for both of us. All right, and one more thing I really liked, and for you late night folks, you might like this too. Many cruise lines, when it comes to being late in the evening, you've been out, you've had a few drinks, you've danced the night away or whatever, and you're looking for that late night snack. Usually it's LNP, the classic late night pizza. But on Icon, they've got a few other options. We mentioned earlier, the Aquadome Marketplace is a small little venue with really quick bite-sized snacks. They have the mac and cheese there. They've got some place called Ginger, which has some Asian food. They've got some sandwiches there. There's a couple other things you can get up there. If you're a little earlier in the evening, you can get crepes. That closes a little beforehand.
It closes at 9.
But the marketplace is there, and it's open till like midnight. Mm-hmm. So you can get a late night snack. You get in, you get out, and it's a really nice place. It's all the way in the forward part of the ship. It's right where the Aquadome is for the water shows, but it's in the front overlook area, so you have some great evening views, and it's just a beautiful spot to go with friends, family, grab a late night bite and do that. And then another thing,
the Pearl.
Oh my God, you're so right. Yeah, how'd you like the Pearl?
I love the Pearl Cafe, and you can get in the morning. They have some pastries, donuts, which is awesome.
But it's open. But it's a 24-hour type of place for grab and go foods. They have a grab and go section.
Yeah, so you can get little sandwiches, some salads, fruit, different things like that, and they even have a few other just random little things. And then also they always have some little desserts there and cookies. They always have cookies there, and
everyone knows how you feel about.
I love my cookies. So
yes. But the point is that there are some other alternative late night options to get something good to eat besides just filling your belly with pepperoni pizza, as our son would usually do. So I'm really digging that in the Icon. Alternative late night food places. That's a big victory in my book.
All right, that was our top 5 likes, but I'm going to throw in one little extra one that I found that I really enjoyed.
Sharon, are you going rogue right now with an extra like?
I am. And surprisingly, it's the drinks on the ship. I'm not a huge drinker, but one thing I really enjoyed about the ship is they had a lot of signature drinks at all of the different bars. We did a bar tour while we were on here, and I was able to try several different drinks that I wouldn't normally get, because I don't like to just try things when you're and pay.
Well, if anyone knows Sharon, she's usually a frozen strawberry margarita kind of gal, and you did go off the beaten path for sure.
I did, but I found a few tasty drinks that I really enjoyed on some of the signature menus. So definitely a lot of options for drinks on here, and there's some that are really good. This is what I did too. There were some that sounded so good, but they were the non-alcoholic drinks.
Oh yeah.
So I actually ordered those and asked them to put a shot of like vodka or tequila in them, and those were like perfect drinks for me.
That was a great call.
Yeah.
Okay, so we mentioned in the beginning of the video, we're on Royal Caribbean's newest, biggest ship, Icon of the Seas. I mean, everything is pretty darn good. It's so nice. It's so clean. This cabin that we're in still has that new cabin smell. I mean, it's fabulous. But listen, we're not going to pretend there's not a few little issues here or there. And we try to take into account not something that's just because it's a new ship and is going through a bump or a bruise while it gets up to speed on something, but just a few things that suck out in the everyday experiences that we're having on the cruise ship.
This is one thing I noticed. So we did do a cabin tour, and we showed everyone the cabin, and at the time I think I mentioned all the storage and shelving in the cabin. And there is a ton of shelving in the cabin, and actually way more than we've even been able to fill.
I mean, at first glance it looks pretty substantial, especially when the place is empty.
Yeah. But what my issue is mostly is with the closet space, or the closet itself. A lot of cruise ships have like 3 closets. This one has 2. One kind of longer one for shorter items, and then one kind of small, narrow one for like your longer dresses and things like that. So I just feel like there's just not enough closet space, and like there's just two of us in the room, so it was fine for us. But if you had anyone else in the room with us, 3 or maybe 4 in a regular
family
balcony, it would not be enough. And another thing, under the closet they have these baskets, and they're in little cubbies, and a lot of cruise lines have baskets that you roll out and they're on like a slider, so they don't fall on the ground, they kind of just slide out. These actually are just basically baskets sitting in the cubby, so when you pull them out, you have to kind of hang on to them to take, if you're putting shoes in them or whatever, and kind of slide them back in. Otherwise they'll just kind of fall on the floor. So they're just kind of, I would rather actually not even have a basket in there, and just, if you can't put a little door on it or a regular drawer, just leave it open, and you can kind of put what you want in there. But those baskets I just find kind of useless and annoying.
The shelves that they have, there's a lot of shelving, but all the shelves are small or angled. And again, you can't put shirts in there, you can't put clothes in there. There's not much to put there except maybe electronics or your sunglasses or something like that. That's what they're good for. But as far as apparel and clothing goes, I'm not the pro. Sharon's the pro when it comes to that, and even I notice a little lack of space.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing has to do with kind of the cabin too, but it's in the bathroom, and then we're going to kind of move out to some other areas around the ship of things that we didn't care for. And that is the shower itself, the way the door opens. I find that very odd and awkward.
Well, it is, because it affects how you turn on the shower. Like, on the cruise ship, there's no lower faucet. So when you turn on the shower, it comes down as a shower. And usually you're going to kind of reach your hand in out of the way, turn it on, and then establish the temperature of it. But the way that the door opens here in the cabin on Icon, in the balcony cabin anyway, you have to open the door and reach like half your body in to the shower to turn it on, because the on-off is on the left-hand switch. Once you turn it on, the water's coming down on you. So your whole arm and like your upper body starts to get wet. Now, if it's cold, which it probably is when you first turn it on, you're already like, whoa, you're freezing cold at first. And it's just a weird build how the door works. Half the door is in, half the door is out. And if you try to turn the head of the shower, when you first turn it on, maybe so it's not hitting you, then all of a sudden the water shoots off the door and into the bathroom floor. So it's just an odd setup. You got to be there maybe to know what we're talking about. It's a little hard to explain, but it's just, the bathroom in general has got some issues. I think it's very small. I think it's very cramped. I love the seat in the shower, but the shower itself is still pretty small. If you're a bigger person, you're going to be hearing a lot of squeaks as your body turns, because your hips are going to be touching the door and the wall the entire time. I'm just being honest with the experience there, because I'm pretty close to hitting it, and I'm a bigger guy. So it's a little tight in there, but that shower door, you're right, is a little wonky.
Yeah. The next thing we're going to talk about is the new smart elevators. That's right.
Smart?
I don't know. The first day when we got on embarkation day, they were pretty quick. We found that we were one of the first ones on the ship, so they came like that, really quick.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't wait for them pretty much until later in the evening. Anytime in the evening, the sea days, we had to wait quite a bit for those smart elevators.
Well, let me set the stage real quick. So the elevator situation is this. Most cruise ships, you're going to have 3 elevator banks. There's going to be forward, midship, and aft. All right, and usually there's 4 to 6 elevators at each one. Icon is very unique. Now, considering the size of it, it's much longer, it's bigger, it has a couple thousand more people on it, but there are only 2 elevator banks. One is kind of midship forward, one's midship aft, and each elevator bank has 12 elevators. And the smart elevator here is where you go to a keypad, you press what floor you want to go to, and it gives you an elevator number, or in this case a letter, like elevator K. So you go to elevator K. And then someone else comes and goes, oh, I want to go to a floor that, above or below that. Well, then they go to K. So the problem with the elevators is that they seem to fill up one of the 12 elevators before defaulting to the next elevator. So if I want to go down to deck 5 from deck 15, then anyone else who gets in that elevator, I'm going to have to stop at their decks before I get there. And they don't initiate the next elevator until that one elevator is full. So there's a bunch of us waiting for one elevator, and there's 11 other elevators doing nothing. They're not lit up. You're not even waiting for it. So instead of all of us going down quickly and easily, we're all getting into one, and it takes forever to get down to your floor. I've noticed it a number of times, And I'm just like, this is driving me crazy.
Well, the other thing is it doesn't have any way of knowing of how many people are getting in with each party. You push the button and it may give you letter K, say, for the next 8 people that push the button. Well, those 8 people may have 3 or 4 people with them, or even more. And then all of a sudden you're going to get in the elevator because you were told to go to K, and it fills up and it really won't hold everyone. So then those people, they can't just wait for the next elevator. They have to go back, push the button again, and get a letter, and then go wait for that elevator.
Yeah,
so that's kind of time consuming.
We've used smart elevators on another cruise line, and the idea with that one is that you say where you want to go, and then you press it the same amount of times as people in your group. So the elevator knows, okay, 4 people are going. So when that happens 3 times, they bounce to the next elevator.
Yeah.
That's not the case here. And as a matter of fact, Matthew was hitting a button over and over again, and he got scolded by one of the crew that were in the area saying, please only hit the button once, don't hit it a bunch of times. And Matthew's like, well, why not? Because now we're all just waiting for one elevator.
Yeah.
And same thing. And there's 11 elevators doing nothing.
The thing is, we knew there were more people out there than the elevator will hold, so he was just going ahead and being proactive and pushing it so that another one would be on its way.
That's right.
Yeah, so the elevators are not so smart after all. I don't know if I'm not really a fan of these smart elevators myself. I'd rather just be able to push it, get on, push where I want to go.
And one other thing about it, we have and this is just my own personal laziness, so forgive me for mentioning this, but we have an aft balcony. We're looking back out off the back of the ship here, and the balcony view and being back here is fantastic. But being that there's only 2 elevator banks, it's like a half-mile walk on this ship to get from our cabin to the elevator every time. So instead of just getting off and being at my room in a minute, it's like a 4-minute walk all the way down the hall. And I'm just lazy, and that's annoying the heck out of me as well. So I'd much rather see 3 banks of less elevators on this cruise ship, and that's all I'm saying. We're not fans of the new Icon smart elevators. All right, now the next one is one that Sharon really noticed because she's way more likely to use this feature of the cruise ship than I am. So Sharon, what is it about the pool deck that you don't care for?
Well, on a sea day. Now, if you're in port, you can probably find a place to lay out because a lot of people are off the ship. But on the typical sea day, most cruise lines, you have to get up very early to get a deck chair, in the sun. Well, the Icon is no different. We were out there yesterday on a sea day, and there was not a chair anywhere in the sun. And the pools are packed. We're at full capacity this week. There is, you're neck and neck. You're close to people in the pools. There's no really swimming around so much. The pools are packed. The loungers are packed, and some of the big pools, they don't have a lot of lounge chairs right around the pools. They're more like kind of weird chairs sitting in the pool or mats laying on the side and just things like that.
There's some hanging chairs and there's some like
a lot of
chairs that are like mesh material where you're sitting on, and like it's almost like a trampoline, but it's a mesh material. But you're right. When we went out there, it was about 10:30 in the morning, and I get it. All the popular chairs are going to be full, right? The ones immediately by the pool, and we understand that. But usually you can find chairs off the beaten path in the sun where you can just lay out. That wasn't the case. We walked around for 20 minutes and finally had to sit in 2 upright chairs. Luckily, they had little footstools on them that were in very awkward, high traffic areas, just to lay there for 45 minutes to an hour to get a little sun.
And there weren't really any of those much either. Yes. We had to walk around forever.
And they advertised like all these pool areas, and one of the largest pools at sea. And it is large. There's one main long pool, and it's more like, it looks like a mini Olympic pool because it's long but it's thin. But the outer pool area is filled with chairs. So to get into the pool, you got to climb over 10 people. And again, there's plenty of chairs right there in that immediate spot, but they fill up immediately in the morning, and everything else, like Sharon said, is under the shade. I don't know. I just don't like it. I know you love to lay out and bake in the sun. Yeah. That's why you're on your Caribbean cruise.
They need more chairs in the sun. So that's all I'm saying.
Listen, I'm going to piggyback onto your pool deck thing as well, and I'm going to say this. One of the coolest things on this ship is something called the Swim and Tonic Bar. It's the first ever swim-up bar on a cruise ship that I know of. And it's an awesome idea. When I heard about it, I was like, wow, that's going to be my major hangout. But now that I've checked it out, man, it is underwhelming. And the reason is because it is so small. It's a very small area. It is packed. Even today, which is a port day, and we just didn't get off the ship for it. We walked out there earlier today, and there's plenty of space all over, but the swim and tonic pool is packed. It is full, and it's a little uncomfortable. And yeah, there's a lot of jokes going on about the cleanliness of the water in that particular pool.
Because people don't get out.
Because there's a lot of drinking there. You can't get out because you lose a great spot in a great pool. So the swimming tonic bar, great idea. Very disappointing because there's no room, and it's you're body to body in there, and it's not very comfortable. You can't enjoy yourself.
Yeah, let's just hope that they're draining that pool every night and refilling it. That's all I got to say.
Let's hope that it's an ool, meaning there's no pee in it. All right, anyway, let's get to the next dislike.
Number 5. That is all the different music venues on the promenade. They are just all so close together and very loud.
They are a little bit loud, and here's an example. You have a lot of different bars and places where there's music coming out of, and it's not like every one of them is playing at the same time. But for example, as I'm sitting down at the Point and Feather, having a drink, and there could be the guitars playing inside of there, but Boleros is in the open promenade area across the way, one level up, and they've got Latin music playing. And I'm sitting at the Point and Feather, and I'm getting blasted with Latin music, right? And I'm not all the way back in the Point and Feather. They have some tables right near the entrance, and I hear that. Or if I'm just walking down the promenade with Sharon, and I'm trying to talk, and I'm like, hey, Sharon, do you want to go get a piece of pizza? And she's like, what? What? I can't hear you because the other music is so loud. And then you get down the way a little bit, and then you have dueling piano, and that's up top on deck 6, not on the main deck 5 promenade area, but you hear it coming all the way down. I like the idea of a little music, and I get that it bleeds a little bit from one area to another, but some of these places are so loud that you can't really sit there quietly. The Pearl Cafe is a great place to sit quietly and relax and have conversation, but you're still getting a few different sounds coming from different areas of the promenade. So great job putting a lot of music venues in there, but not so great a job of keeping each music venue to itself as far as what you're hearing. And we just thought that was a little over the top loud as we're walking through there, and I'm hearing a bunch of music that I don't really want to be hearing. I'm sure if you guys go on the icon, you'll let us know in the comments if you experienced the same thing or if you felt differently than us. And that's like anything. All these dislikes and likes are just things that we thought, and maybe you guys will think them too, so we want to make you aware of it. And if it's one of our likes, we can share it with you and you can check it out. And if it's a dislike, that way maybe you're just one step ahead when you get on the ship.
That's right. So I hope you enjoyed this video, all of our likes and dislikes. Oh, before we go, actually, I do want to give one final sort of a bonus. It's more of a like. It's just kind of a shout out to the, I guess, crew on Icon of the Sea. They have been amazing. The service has been exceptional, and we can't thank them enough. It has been awesome.
It has been awesome. Everywhere we've turned, bars, dining room, the buffet, everything's been great. Drink service in the buffet has been on point. Henry, our room steward. Henry, if you're watching this, you did a great job all week, man. We appreciate it.
If you're new here, please consider subscribing to our channel, and don't forget to click that notification bell so you get notified when we post new content. And remember to share this video with family and friends. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.